This is the Elder Scrolls Blades. We're on the Nintendo Switch, where it just released today as a free-to-play title. I did play it when it was available on mobile, so it is interesting to see, well, mobile is an iOS, Android, and it is interesting to see it kind of transfer over to Switch for full release. There's like a starter bundle and everything like that. So what is this? It's not necessarily the Elder Scrolls, but it is kind of like a version inspired by it for a mobile situation, where you're kind of going in, you're fixing up a town with limited resources, and basically trying to improve the lives of the folks here, because you're going back. So with that, it is a time-based kind of thing. You get the coins doing missions and other loot and the resources you need to build things, and then you have to wait a hard time limit or pay with these special premium gems in order to get it done faster. So I do have some gems, so I could do that. But anyways, we're going to open it up here. You do go on quests, we're going to show that, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what the game is like. So there's the main kind of story thing where you're doing the missions and everything like that, and there's also arena for like PvP action. There is cross progression. So if you are on, if you were on iOS beforehand, you could connect your Bethesda account, and you can restore that on here if you want to keep on playing. So that cross progression is an interesting addition. This is like a weird kind of game, because we have the Elder Scrolls on Switch already, right? So they want to do this one, which makes sense because it is, it's a mobile offering. The controls and everything like that makes sense to port it over to the Switch for that mobile style of play. It is a better looking mobile game. On Switch, I'm not really too blown away by the visual quality, I gotta be honest, and there's some other hiccups I want to talk about. But it is interesting to see this port here. So you see in the game, you can buy chests. These are Canadian pricing, just so you are aware of the costs kind of involved in that. I like to show those off for these kind of free-to-play games to get an idea of the microtransactions. So then you got your character, and you level them up. You get different abilities, different tools you can use, different types of armor and all that. And you get different like chest plates, and you find different gauntlets, and you equip them and customize your character and all that. Typical sort of like Elder Scrolls style of play, any RPG kind of game. Just kind of showing off again, kind of customization, so you get an idea of what this aspect is all like in the game. Come on, Joy-Cons, play with me here. Jeez. Sometimes they just like get little disconnection issues. That's just a Joy-Con thing, not the game. But then you collect all these materials, and you've got like construction materials and all that. And then we've got a skills area. You move up the skills tree, you get XP, level up. Typical sort of RPG experience. We got a list of quests, and then the arena, and there's the abyss too. So we're just going to kind of show off the town. So the first thing I want to note is, at least on the big screen, the performance kind of a little bit not the best. It seems to have some drops and stuff, which I find a little bit weird, because it doesn't necessarily seem like something that is demanding. There's also little not freeze, well, they're freezes, they're more like pauses. I have had times where it takes a second before anything happens, like you're gonna be like coming back from a quest, and your character will just kind of like stand there, and you can tell that the game's kind of like frozen a little bit, and you've got to wait for it to kind of load. It doesn't seem to crash from my experience, but I definitely have had the problem where it's like, hey, there are some actual performance issues in this one, which I think is a little disappointing, because this doesn't seem all that demanding. It is a little easier going when it's, on the handheld, but when you're on the big TV, I also don't think it's that visually impressive on the Switch, in my opinion. Like on mobile, it's like, oh, this is pretty good looking. At least when I played it, when it came out, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Now on here, it's kind of like, it's got that like Elder Scrolls style, but it doesn't necessarily, do that Elder Scrolls thing. So we guess we could do like a quest here. Can we do a quest here? The Prisoners of Porcupine. Journey to Anvil Keep. Oh wow, those are like jobs you can do. So we'll do the rescue the townsfolk. That seems like a fairly easygoing quest. You see the rewards you can get. You go and do the mission, you load up, and you go into like a dungeon thing. They're very linear dungeons. You get like little side areas that you might be able to open up a little bit. Sometimes you're in outdoor areas. It's mostly like little miniature dungeon crawling things, if you get what I mean, and it's got like a very basic sort of combat experience to it when you are playing. But I mean, it is kind of cool that the game is available. I mean, you can have like the two players, like the arena battles, which is kind of neat. It does capture that, I think, aesthetic of what an Elder Scrolls game should be like. It's got some building aspects to it, but it definitely, you feel that mobile aspect come into play. Those like microtransactions and that too, speeding things up. And I don't know, it's for a different kind of RPG player, maybe a little bit more casual of one, not necessarily like the hardcore crowd, because I mean you've got your Elder Scrolls Skyrim already available. So this is kind of the combat. You can kind of unleash like magic, and you kind of hold the circle thingy so either side so that you can hit your enemies, and then you've got so much health, and there's health potions. It is nice that you can kind of walk in that. I mean, it's going to be a little bit different, like coming to the touch side of things, but yeah, and then you get challenge rewards, and that's just kind of, that's what it is. Why does it's got that like pause to it? Come on, scroll down. No, I don't want to upgrade my inventory, but claim, and then we get that, and you get some extra coins. And then you're just kind of collecting loot from enemies, and they do have a pretty good variety of enemies present, a bunch of different creatures. You're fighting like rats, and timing does matter too, and how you're hitting things and leveling up in the game. Oh, sorry, it's the weird drifting thing. It's the Joy-Cons, that's just how they are. And then you're collecting the little microtransaction chests in games, so you collect loot. And you get basic objectives. Sometimes you're freeing people, sometimes you're eliminating people. When you finish the level, quote-unquote, you can immediately leave it, or you can keep on adventuring in order to check out new things. That's totally up to you. Yeah, throw the fireball. Oh, totally botching that up. Just a little bit weird. Yeah, and then we kind of finish off the mercenary here. And then we collect more rewards, complete another challenge, go free somebody. So to me, this isn't that thrilling. I don't know, not even really. The character models are kind of ugly in my opinion. I hope I'm not being too hard on this, because I do think it's a very serviceable game for a different style, but this is not necessarily what people are going to think when it's like, oh my, it's a free Elder Scrolls, It's not what you might think it is if you haven't played it before. And I mean, I'm not hating on it too much. I do wish that it was a little bit, smoother gameplay-wise, and I wish there was a little bit more to it. But I mean, it gets the job done for what it is, and I think it's a good fit for the Switch. Because as soon as I saw it was coming to Switch, and then it just kind of like randomly appeared, I was like, oh, okay, that makes it makes sense to me, right? You see some games, you're like, okay, that would fit on the Switch fine. I get why they do it. It's just kind of funny seeing like a full-scale Elder Scroll experience on the Switch, and then you see this one, and it's like, yeah, you could, I saw that you can do it. Just a matter of whether you should, and I guess it's possibly a good entry into the series. Am I right? I mean, this could be the first time someone gets to try the Elder Scrolls out, whereas the veteran players, I don't necessarily think that this is going to be something you really are that into. But of course, different people, different sort of desires when it comes to that. Power attack, cool. You get different abilities. It's kind of neat, and it does have a lot of the elements. I could see this being a good stepping stone for people to kind of learn and get into the franchise, like I mentioned. I think it kind of fills that void quite well. And it is kind of fun. I mean, it's kind of enjoyable. It's an easy going back thing. There's just not necessarily a whole lot of substance to it. You get what I mean? I mean, there's like lots of missions and things you can do, and you wait for your little city to build up if you want, but it's, I don't know. I think the cross progression aspect, that's really cool. It's neat that they added that. You got a good variety of challenges. There's lots of like items you can collect. It just depends if this is like the type of experience that you are into, I guess, right? Because I mean, to me, I'm not really too thrilled by this. I'm probably not going to play it for a whole lot longer on here, but... Oh, jeez. Where did you come from? Let me get my fireball. I'm really trouble kind of getting it off all of a sudden. I just kill them fast anyways. Free the prisoners, yeah. And then you get like small kind of chat things. You don't get a whole lot of choices. Come back to Skyland. And then you see at the end here we can explore or we can complete it. And then we go back and we can work on our houses. I mean, you don't necessarily feel limited in the game, if you get what I mean. Which is nice, and it is, I think, something that would be decent for on the go. But I mean, if you're on the go, you're gonna be playing on your phone, so I don't really get the point. You get what I mean? Like, at least I would think so. I could be like, oh, well, bigger screen on the Switch. Yeah, but my phone looks better. Higher visual quality and stuff. And seeing, yeah, this is one of those moments where it's like the game's just kind of frozen up and you gotta just kind of wait until it gets going. So that's a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, that's a little unacceptable. It's not a huge critical issue, but the fact that it like literally pauses, and you saw that, right? That it was like literally not doing anything is a little, it should not be doing that. So you got the quest, single player, blah blah blah, creating, customizing your city, restoring it to greatness, or whatever that is, collecting items, RPG elements, customizing your character. There's never-ending abyss with cutting-edge combat systems. Ooh, you know, all that kind of fun stuff. Being the Elder Scrolls, building a thing, talking to all these people, you know, doing some smithing and crafting, fixing the ruins up, making the place a little less crappy because it's still on fire and absolutely destroyed from your childhood. You're trying to bring it back together because, you know, that's the ultimate RPG experience. Oh, we go down to the tunnels. That's always thrilling. But yeah, it's got a fair bit of, I guess, interesting content to it. I think some people are really going to enjoy this one. You know, it's got its moments. Oh no, too bad. And there are a good number of quests, and I guess we could show more, but I think that's kind of good for showing what this is and you get an idea of it. If you would like to see further experiences in this game, me going further with it, let me know. I like the pop-in bothers me too. I don't know if I think I might have forgotten to touch on that when I was walking up the main step here, but just the little bits of pop-in, it's like, come on, there's not like a whole lot in this. There shouldn't be any of that pop-in. You see with the plants, like, ugh, you know, come on. It's doesn't seem to be that demanding of a game, and even though the Switch isn't like a super powerful thing, it's kind of like, I'd like more from it. You get what I mean? And there's different upgrade steps, like you can make your walls all cool again. You keep working on that, and the construction, you know, it's like 20-something minutes left, and I could just get it done automatically, or I could wait the time, and that kind of feels a little bit, you know, really leaning into that microtransaction aspect of it, but all to their own, however you want to do things. And yeah, that is kind of the Elder Scrolls Blades. I hope you enjoyed this look at it, get an idea of what the game's kind of like.